The day after a catastrophic bridge collapse brings stories of survival.
Being submerged in the water, your only thought is, don't let me die here.
Traffic nightmares, lost profits.
Business has been dead.
And a lot of questions needing answers.
Tonight we have a digital recreation of the collapse of the bridge over the Skagit River to show you to illustrate what happened. That truck with an oversized load hit the bridge framework, and just seconds later, a portion of the 58-year-old bridge plunged into the water, taking 2 vehicles and 3 people with it.
Now, 28 hours later, we are learning more about what happened on I-5 near Mount Vernon, the history of this bridge, and what happens next.
We have learned tonight that all 3 people pulled from the water have now returned home. One man told us he had to pop his own shoulder back into place so he could pull his wife to safety. She was the last to be released from the hospital. In just a moment, we'll hear from the 3rd survivor.
And there are many questions still to be answered, including how long it'll take for a replacement bridge to be built or to have this one repaired, and why the impact of the oversized load on a truck caused the bridge to break apart as badly as it did.
We have Team 4 coverage for you tonight, beginning with Russ Bowen live along the Skagit River with the very latest details. Russ?
Yeah, State Patrol tells me tonight that the driver of the truck who witnesses say hit the top of this bridge has been cooperative, including handing over the contents of his truck's computer and a blood sample. If there are any charges or infractions, it could be months ahead. But right now, the focus is on making this busy highway whole again. As the sun sets just more than 24 hours after the Skagit River Bridge collapsed,
Can't believe it happens that fast.
there are still those who venture out to see what still seems so surreal.
You've been living here 30 years and you look over there and it's rubble.
So what's next is drivers will soon become impatient with slowdowns and detours.
We've been working around the clock since this happened.
NTSB started work at noon and will be back on the scene Saturday morning along with WashDOT inspectors.
Then we can start moving forward on getting that debris out of the water. So we don't have a timeline for when that's going to happen, but hopefully we can at least start working on that within the next few days.
This has to be a dream.
A few days that Bryce Kennings feels lucky to see ahead of him. His car still sits in the water after becoming a victim to the collapse.
Being submerged in the water, your only thought is, don't let me die here.
Daily routines are now a required ritual.
I've always been the guy who, kiss my mom on the cheek, tell her I love her before I leave, and yeah, that'll always be something I do now.
WashDOT says contractors will consider using a number of options to get the massive debris out of the water, including a crane on shore or a barge.
So they're just going to have to look at all those different options and decide which one is going to be the most efficient, effective, and moves us forward as rapidly as possible towards getting I-5 back open again.
But that's likely to take some time. Just how long depends on whether the bridge is replaced or repaired. That decision has not been made yet. And back out here live, a prefabricated structure to replace this section of the bridge is also an option that's being considered. But if they have to build one, it could take months. Russ Bowen reporting live for KOMO 4 News.
Thank you, Russ. A pair of tourists just happened to be driving around taking pictures and caught the rescue as it was first unfolding.
They were just starting the rescue of the individuals, and I just started clicking, telephoto lens, zooming in.
Richard Desson was behind the lens. He had driven across the bridge earlier in the day to take pictures in Bellingham. On the way back, he found himself in the middle of a story making national headlines.
As we were driving back, we were like, man, we were doing the what if constantly, how close we were to that.
Desson got caught up in the initial traffic backup, took a detour, then pulled over to watch the rescue.
One of the first state troopers to arrive at the scene says he didn't expect to find survivors when he first saw the chaos and destruction.
It is a miracle. That's the only way I can explain it.
Trooper Jason Bett says his first priority was to clear the cars and people off the stretch of the bridge that was still standing.
Businesses along I-5 in Skagit County are already feeling the impact of the monumental traffic disruption. The bridge detours reroute customers away from many stores. The Skagit Speedway is worried the bleachers will be empty for races this Memorial Day weekend.
The hardcore fans, I think they'll figure out a way to get here, but the casual fan, a lot of people go out for entertainment. If it's a hassle to get there, they're going to say, well, let's skip it this week.
For others, the problem is too much traffic. A Mount Vernon consignment store owner says the added congestion is driving away her normal clientele. Many businesses are also worried Canadian tourists will be deterred from visiting.
The collapse creates a new reality for thousands of people who travel through the Mount Vernon area each day, and especially over this busy holiday weekend. We continue our Team 4 coverage with Shannon O'Donnell, who has a look at the traffic fallout.
Yes, you definitely want to plan on some extra time if you do have to go through the Skagit Valley, at least for the weekend and probably far beyond. At the moment, the detours are looking like this. If you're heading in the southbound direction, you have to exit right now at 2:30. You take State Route 20, then get south on Best Road. Then you go east on Fur Island Road back to I-5 via State Route 534. If you're heading in the northbound direction, maybe for the long holiday weekend going on up to Bellingham or to British Columbia, you now exit at 221. You go west on Fur Island Road, which has been quite backed up throughout the Friday afternoon and into the evening, and it will probably see more delays like that into the weekend. You go north on Best Road, east back on State Route 20, and you grab I-5 back there. You can also head all the way through Cedar Woolley via State Route 534 and State Route 9. But either way you slice it, it's going to be a long weekend, I think, especially on some of those side streets through the Skagit Valley.
There you go.